Hello, this is Andreas from Nordic Tarot, and I've got 3 readings for you for the first 2 weeks of September. And please remember that even the 2 more specific readings, the love and the work reading, they are still general. So if they do not resonate, I'm sorry, but hopefully at least one of the 3 will. And you'll find more information about how to contact me and on the decks I'm using in the description. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy your readings. Hello Gemini, Sun, Moon and Rising. Since these are the first batch of videos I'm doing, I'm just going to quickly explain my spread and then we'll just get straight into it, okay? So I pulled 3 cards for 3 different aspects or areas of your life. It's general, love and work. So the top one's general, middle is love, bottom is work. I also pulled 1 oracle card, which is, you can view it as the underlying or the overarching energy of the readings. The oracle card will apply to all the readings. So I read the oracle's message for the general, the relationship message for the love, and the prosperity message for the work reading. But then you also get the essential meanings as, again, like an overarching summation of what the readings are kind of going to be about. So your essential meanings from number 49, Observer, is perspective, objectivity, neutral observation from a distance. Alright, let's get straight into your general. This is the oracle's message. Most people see the world through a personal lens. They closely identify with their feelings and experiences. So much so that they come to believe that these are the only reality. There are times when you need distance in order to gain perspective and understand your circumstances from a more neutral vantage point. Now is one of those times in your life. This is a perfect moment for you to begin to do some exploring. Instead of only considering yourself, consider what you need to understand about the conditions, people, culture, and environment you've engaged with now. You'll be so happy you did. Illumination is the miracle you seek and will indeed find. Alright, so that's the oracle's message. What's your first card? It's the 4 Swords. The 4 Swords is a card that talks of healing. It talks about laying down your swords, resting. You know, it's fine. We're going to have a little break. We can keep going soon. But it is, someone who's maybe been battered and bruised and been on the path for a very long time. And it's okay to take a break. I know taking a break is not always what you're looking for. Maybe you feel like you're on a roll, but the Observer is very much talked about a perspective. Like, are you still on the right path? You won't know unless you take a step back and look at it. But then your next card is the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups, it can be a soulmate card. It can be someone coming back from the past, like a person, or it can be just remembering things from the past. But it's a nostalgic card. It's about looking back at memories with a nostalgic tint to your glasses, rose-colored glasses, where the things you think of are fond. They are nice memories, and the cups also represent feelings. So it's definitely have this like a feeling element. And I know as air signs, Geminis often get accused of detaching from their feelings too much. But I feel like the 6 of Cups are specifically talking about a line in the oracle's message, which is, they closely identify with their feelings and experiences. So much so that they come to believe that those are the only reality. So I feel like with the 4 Swords, suggesting maybe it's time to heal, maybe it's time to rest, maybe it's time to take a break. Then the 6 of Cups is saying that maybe now is a great time to look at your past. How did you end up here? Like, what are your experiences? What are your perspective on your experiences now, as opposed to when they happen to you, or just after they happen to you? And it's, of course, with the Observer card, there is this reflection energy. Like, what happened to me? What did I do? How did I feel? What did I think? What are all these memories? How do they affect me? And, I think we have all done this, where we remember something from the past. Maybe we hear a sound, or we see someone that we used to know, or we smell something, and something comes flooding back, and we're like, wow, that's really intense. But then we think about the memory, and it's like, oh, actually, now that I think about it and I have more experience, I view this event differently. Not necessarily negatively or anything, but it's like, oh, that makes so much more sense to me now that I have more experience. It can even be something from your childhood that maybe it's a memory you had that you didn't think much of, but then when you think about it again with like maybe years and years in adulthood and all of these things under your belt as experience, you view them again and you're like, oh wow, oh, I never viewed it like this before. I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling, but I like that personally. But then your next card is the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles is a card of, well, it's card of balance, it's scales. It's a card of give and take. In the original Rider-Waite deck, it depicts three people. It's one man who looks quite well off, giving coins to two people who look less well off. It's often referred to as the charity card, but I'm not a huge fan of describing it that way because it makes it seem very one-sided. Like, yes, this man is well off, the man giving to the other two people. He's very well off and he's, you know, he has a lot of material gain. And giving some money to these people probably makes him feel quite good about himself. Like, I'm so glad I can help them in some way, and, you know, I'm sure this will be a good thing for them, etc. But if they weren't in that situation to begin with to be able to receive, then him being able to give, that situation wouldn't exist. So there is this like balancing and like, have you been giving too much? Have you been taking too much? And I'm not judging or anything, but that's something I feel like the Six of Pentacles is kind of pointing out, like asking you to think about this. Like, it definitely, if you've been like on a roll lately or you've been just running along doing your thing, then the Four of Swords is here saying, all right, let's have a break. The Six of Cups is saying, how did I get here? And then the Six of Pentacles might be talking about, is the scale balanced? Am I doing it for the same reasons as I used to? With like, maybe that's what the Six of Cups brings up. Have my reasons for doing this changed? Whatever it is you are doing. And maybe the Six of Pentacles is referring to one of the lines from the Oracle's message, which is, instead of only considering yourself, consider what you need to understand about the conditions, people, culture, and environment you've engaged with now. Like, maybe things have changed. Maybe the give and take aspect, maybe you used to be able to receive. I know it sounds really bad saying give and take, but it's giving and receiving. Like, it's not that you're just grabbing something from someone else against their will or anything. But so maybe you were in a space where you were able to receive something from someone, whatever it was, energy or love or whatever. But then because of the Six of Cups, I feel like this has spanned quite some time. So maybe that person isn't there anymore, and then that maybe, for example, that's why the Four of Swords come up, like, oh, we need a break now because we've not got this boost from someone else. I'm definitely not saying that you couldn't do this on your own and then it was only because of someone giving you something to boost you alone that you managed to get this far. But maybe this is a time for you to recalibrate and be like, okay, well, I don't have this, or I used to do this, or however, like this situation might have changed somehow, and now it's a kind of a good opportunity to take a look at all of that. Right, so let's move on to your love reading. The relationship message is, sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees in your way. Feelings can get all jumbled up, and often you hear one thing when a person says another. It can be like an echo of an unresolved past existence dubbed over your conversation. Take time out before you react. It's likely the other person has no idea how his or her words have affected you. Take a few steps back and lend understanding to the situation. Have faith in your connection and trust you can come together. Take the higher ground now and cultivate curiosity about what you observe in yourself, in others, and in the landscape. You will find things much improved sooner than you know. So as for the first line in the relationship message, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees in your way. I feel like that might be the Two of Pentacles slipping up here, like connecting to the observer energy. The Two of Pentacles is an energy of focus. This is someone balancing or juggling these two pentacles in front of them. And it requires a lot of focus, a lot of effort, and it can be exhausting sometimes. And immediately the next line is, feelings can get all jumbled up. Now let's look at the Two of Pentacles. What's this person doing? It's someone who's very focused on what's right in front of them, with like if they're doing some work or there's a project or whatever's happening, but they've got their back turned to the ocean or this body of water behind them, and this body of water seems quite agitated, like it's windy or stormy or something. But water represents feelings in the tarot. It's our emotions, how we feel, and intuition and all these things. But this is someone who's so focused on what they're doing that they perhaps have their feelings all jumbled up, for example, or maybe they're having issues connecting to their emotions. And again, being air energy, you're very good at detaching. So I think the Two of Pentacles like makes a lot of sense with the Observer energy. And then the next card you have is Temperance, which is one of the cards of balance. You have Six of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Temperance, and Justice. And they are all cards that in some respect talk of balance or an evening out of things. But Temperance is, it's divine timing. This is happening, there's fate involved in this. And it's moderation, and it's talk about inner peace. And if you look at the Two of Pentacles, that ocean does not look like the water or the feelings of someone who has inner peace. So I definitely, like, it works really well again with the Observer card, like what they're saying, like there is a need for a perspective change. And then your next card after Temperance is the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords, what's that? It's a card that speaks of victory. Victory through the truth. It's a new way of thinking. And that's exactly what the Observer card is talking about when it says, take to higher ground now and cultivate curiosity about what you observe in yourself, in others, and in the landscape. And it's, if you take to higher ground and you climb up some hill or even a mountain, you'll get a different perspective on what's happening. So these three cards, the Two of Pentacles, Temperance, and Ace of Swords, work so well with the Observer. Like the Two of Pentacles might be someone who's really focused, not really connecting with their feelings, maybe on purpose because it's something really hurts or is difficult. Like that, of course, I understand that. I've been through that myself. But it might be someone who is so focused on something that they're having difficulty connecting to their emotions. So then Temperance comes in and says moderation in all things. Maybe it is time to just even things out. Let the scales balance out. And then the Ace of Swords, like, you might be able to achieve this with the help of a new perspective. Look at things, look at the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? Okay, moving on to your work reading. And I think your work reading is, I don't know, when I read the prosperity message and then looked at the cards, I'm like, whoa, that is quite on the nose. But I'll just get into it immediately. Prosperity message. It is an advantageous time for you to get some distance from what you're doing and see your work and your projects from a different perspective. The trick is to connect to the essence of your goals and aspirations while letting the form and timing be dictated by spirit. You may be too personally attached to an outcome and unable to see the miracle because it's not turning out exactly as you planned. Trust spirit. The perfect version of your abundance is right in front of you. Remain neutral and curious and watch the miracle unfold. Okay, so this is... Sorry, Gemini, I'm excited. The Hermit. What's the Hermit? It's a card that talks of taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture again, and seeing all the parts and, kind of detaching in a way like, what's going on here? What is the first part of the first line of the prosperity message? It is an advantageous time for you to get some distance from what you're doing. Like, that's the Hermit. That is you taking a step back. And it doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't, or that you need to leave the project alone entirely, but it's just trying to look at the bigger picture. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Well, the second part of the first line is, see your work and your project from a different perspective. That's the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man it's the energy, the Hanged Man, the man in the picture, is someone who's willfully, on purpose, hung himself upside down for a new perspective, to see things differently. It's also someone who has a waiting energy, someone who's waiting for an answer, or waiting for some information, or waiting to learn something. And again, like I talked to you about both the general and the love reading, it's if you've been so up in it for such a long time, taking a step back is so helpful. Just remember why you're doing it, how you're doing it, what brought you here, all these bits of the bigger picture. And then the Oracle card is talking about you may be too personally attached to an outcome and are unable to see the miracle because it's not turning out exactly as you planned. And it's telling you to trust the universe, trust spirit. And spirit is the universe, it's God, whatever you prescribe to. But I usually just call it the universe. The perfect version of your abundance is right in front of you. Remain neutral and curious, detached. like with the Hermit, and watch the miracle unfold. So you have this detached, taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture energy with the Hermit. You have perfect like change of perspective with the Hanged Man. You know, the Hanged Man is also someone, I suppose you could call him neutral and curious, because he just hangs there. He's waiting for this thing. It's almost like as if he is trusting spirit in this particular reading. Like, because your last card is Justice. Justice is the scales balancing out. It's someone being dealt justice. And you have been putting in the work and all these things, but like justice seems like out of, and it's like all of these are major arcana, so these are big things, these are things happening, situations being created for us. And I feel like justice in this reading is representing the universe. This is the universe meeting out justice, and I don't know, these cards are just so, they kind of blew my mind when I pulled them, like I said, with the Observer. But the Observer and your cards, they are like in such agreement that it's again about the bigger picture. It's understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. Look at it from different angles. Examine it. You have free reign to be a Gemini. That, if anything, should excite you, make you want to do this. So those were your readings for the first 2 weeks of September. And like I said in the reading, these are my first videos. I know they're not perfect, and I would love some feedback. If you have any opinions on how I did, or if there's anything that I could do better, I'd love to hear it. Thank you very much for watching this